Seriously, some of these arguments from these groups are so far from reality that you can tell these people haven't interacted with anyone outside of a Discord or a Twitter argument in multiple years. I'm also getting really tired of every loser on the internet using some crazy chick on TikTok to justify why their life isn't going well.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the desert. As the title of this video says, this is a direct response to Think Before You Sleep's video titled It's Not That Bad, talking about dating. So in this video we'll answer, is dating really not that bad and we're just making it out to be? We're going to take a look at some statistics, we're going to take a look at some arguments that Think Before You Sleep makes, and I'm going to provide you my honest answer. And you gentlemen pick a side, you gentlemen pick what you believe is to be true, and we're going to have a discussion. I will recommend you watch the whole Think Before You Sleep video if you are interested, because he says many things that are true. Yet I will be specifically talking about the ones concerning the red pill and whether or not I believe them to be true. So take a look at this.
I've talked about this a lot in terms of the woke stuff, and more recently, I've been talking about how the Manosphere demoralizes people with bad or flat-out wrong information. One of the prime ways they demoralize viewers is by being awful at interpreting studies or understanding data, or they're hiding crucial information that doesn't fit their narrative because it will get them less views, or they don't actually read the studies and they will cite data that they don't know the source of. That happens a lot, and I mean a lot. For example, these spaces love to quote a statistic that stems from this really old OkCupid study that mentions nothing about population size and say, look, women rated most men as unattractive, but forget to mention that women will still talk to these guys anyway. Do you know who is more exclusionary based on appearance? Men. 2/3 of men are messaging the best-looking third of women, so no shit they don't get picked as often.
Well, you see guys, it turns out, after all, I mean, we've been saying that women go for the top 10% of men. It turns out men are the ones who are going for the top percentage of women. Wow. What a plot twist, eh, gentlemen? Turns out we are the evil ones. We are the ones with delusional standards. There's a reason, guys, why we often mention how a successful man will absolutely date and marry a McDonald's cashier that happens to be attractive or a good person. You know, because men are not so picky. Men don't care about women's work. They don't care about her job. They don't care about her career. They don't care about none of that. All right, and even in terms of attractiveness, do you really think that men date up? Or would you rather say that women date up? How many times in your life have you seen men with women who are less attractive than them? And how many times have you seen the opposite? How many times have you seen a stunning 9 or 10 out of 10 women dating some mid 6 out of 10 guy? Have you seen that more often, or have you seen the reverse to be true? A man that is jacked, has a good career, has a lot of money and fame, dating a woman that is not performing so well in these aspects, you know? And there's also a reason, gentlemen, why women who have careers, successful careers, divorce more often than women who don't have successful careers. There's a reason why women who have more money tend to divorce more often than women who don't have money. All right, it's because women tend to get more picky the more they perform better in those aspects. It's not the same for men. All right, a man can be very successful and he won't start looking for another woman that matches him on the earnings that she makes. So this study, I don't know, this is a real study, you can check it out. I don't know if it's because of the year 2010, this was really early in the dating apps. I don't know if it's because of that. I mean, probably, guys, the reason why this study came to the conclusion that most males are messaging the top 1/3 of women, it probably is because men just message everybody. You know, men throw a wide net and see what what they catch. Also, dating apps are not reflecting of reality. In the sense that most men are on dating apps for hookups, right? So of course they will message the more attractive women because they want them more. No, nobody's saying that's not the case. Yes, men feel more attracted and want to have S3X with a woman that is more attractive rather than less attractive. So that is true. It doesn't go to say that when men date, they are actively looking for the 1/3 top percentage of women, unlike women do. Let's continue.
Also, here's a guy who mentions that they don't really discuss how the attractiveness ratings were obtained. That matters because, for example, this totally decent-looking guy with the guitar here might have rated lower because he's a musician and that makes him look broke. Would he have rated higher if he took a picture next to a yacht in a suit or a lab coat in a hospital? How much of their physical appearance was related to markers of wealth or this guy's lack of emotion and really terrible hairstyle? Though to be perfectly honest, this study was removed from the OkCupid website like a decade ago, and the archive is difficult to find, so I think that almost none of these people who are talking about it have actually read the entire thing, yet they'll still quote it constantly, which is very irresponsible. You'll also see stuff like this Pew study where they'll say, "Look at all these single guys, it must be because women suck." Well, did the study say that? Or is it possible that they are single because they never go outside, and women in those age groups are less likely to be single because women typically date older men who have better jobs and are more willing to commit? I mean, do these people even look at their own charts? It says on the right that...
I'm gonna pause it right here, guys. He just mentioned that women tend to date older guys who have less money. Do you think that men tend to date older women who have less money? Do you think that is a criteria for men? No, it's not. Again, going back to my previous point, that men don't really care about women's earnings. They want her to be fit, feminine, and friendly. And they don't really care. They're not going for the top percentage of women because men are more down to earth in their expectations. It doesn't go to say that they prefer the less attractive one rather than the more attractive one. It just means that they know the sort of level that they can catch up to. They know their league, and they know that they probably won't be successful even one tier higher, even one league higher. They won't be able to secure a baddie that is one league higher. But gentlemen, talking about statistics, here you can see men and women who say they are single, adults in the US looking for dates or relationship. I'm going to ask you a question, and I want you to answer me without taking a look at studies. All right? Will you be able, gentlemen? Let's find out. I'm going to ask you a question. You have to answer it without reading 2 hours of statistics material. For whom is it easier to have a serious relationship? For a man or for a woman? Answer me that, gentlemen. You take the average woman, standard 5 out of 10 women, and you take the average man, standard 5 out of 10 men. For whom of these both individuals is it easier to have a relationship if they decide to? The woman, right? The woman. It's not a hard question. Guys, I don't need a study to know that, all right? I know this. Think Before You Sleep knows this. Taylor knows this. You know this. Probably if you're over the age of 10, you know this, all right? I don't need a study for that. Studies, gentlemen, are very overrated. Sometimes they are very good. Sometimes they are very, very necessary. But in today's society, for what they are used for, they are crap. They are misleading. They don't reflect reality, I don't need to look at them to make the points that I'm making on the channel. The fact of the matter is, for a woman, just because she's a woman, it's way, way easier to have a relationship, whether that be serious or casual. She can have a hookup in 1 minute if she decides to. It's women that have DMs of multiple men texting them and wanting something from them. It's not men that have like 15 women piled up in their DMs asking, "Can I meet you? Can we go out for a date? Please, you're so attractive, you're so beautiful." Men don't have that, all right? I don't need a study to know that. So studies are very overrated. And if you mean to tell me that this OkCupid study from 10 years ago says that men go for the 1/3 top percentage of women, I don't buy it. Now, the study may be true. It may even reflect the reality of that time. So I will have to come up with an answer of, well, maybe the dating apps were different back then. Maybe men were looking for different things back then. maybe the study is wrong, maybe this, maybe that, but it doesn't reflect the current situation, all right? In this year, 2024, men are not trying to date the top 1/3 of women in terms of attractiveness. What men are doing today is throwing a wide net that covers probably women from the range of 3 out of 10 to 9 out of 10 to see what sticks. All right? Do you agree with that, gentlemen? Now let's continue.
That there was an 11% drop in men looking for relationships between 2019 and 2022 versus a 3% drop in women. So no shit, there's a big change from 2019 to 2022 in the number of single men. They aren't looking for relationships as often as they were before. Not to mention that this data was obtained during COVID when it was illegal to go outside, which forces everyone to use dating apps that heavily favor women. Do you want a better chance of success? Stop using apps and go outside. Seriously, some of these arguments from these groups are so far from reality.
Guys, I'm going to pause it just for a second because it's interesting how Think Before You Sleep acknowledges that dating apps heavily, he says, favor women. So why is that the case? I mean, if men are the picky ones, if men are the ones that are going for the 1/3 top percentage of women, while women are replying to multiple guys and texting multiple guys and not dating the top percentage of men, wouldn't that mean that dating apps favor men? So how can both these things be possible?
That you can tell these people haven't interacted with anyone outside of a Discord or a Twitter argument in multiple years. I'm also getting really tired of every loser on the internet using some crazy chick on TikTok to justify why their life isn't going well.
I'm going to pause here to address first off Taylor, second why we do the TikTok coverage. First, Taylor, out of all the content creators that Think Before You Sleep could have chosen, it really baffles me that he chose Taylor to mention that he's a loser who has only interacted through Discord and whose life isn't going well. From the first ever video that I've watched of Taylor, you can tell that Taylor has a confidence to his voice, and the voice of someone speaks a lot about him, right? Think Before You Sleep is very good at analyzing people, so it really baffles me that out of all the content creators, you went for the one with the most confident voice. Also, Taylor, you can clearly see, guys, he knows what he's talking about. When you watch his videos, he's so sure, but not in the way where you would think that he's being arrogant or he's full of himself. No, Taylor just has this flow to his videos that, you know, that tells us that he really knows what he's talking about. Like, this guy has been around the block. He understands women. You can see that. You can feel that in his videos. So again, I don't know why he decided to pick Taylor, but anyway, let's talk about the TikTok coverage. Think Before You Sleep says, I'm tired of people who use TikToks to talk about reality. And I can understand that to some degree, because some people do use a stupid TikTok and then go on to say that that is all women. Or, oh wow, look at society. That is stupid, and I don't think that anyone who is intelligent really believes that these TikToks reflect 100% of women. I think you had to be a dumbass to think about that. You can find all sorts of rage bait content on the internet. You can find these interviews they do, especially to American citizens, where they ask them a question of like, where is France? And they say, isn't it in Italy? Or some dumb answer like that, like, where is Europe? Isn't it in Spain? Some very dumb answers where they go on the streets, they ask 300 people, and one of them will tell a wrong answer, and they will say, oh, look at how stupid Americans are. You will have to be an idiot to think that all Americans don't recognize what Europe is, all right? So the same happens with TikToks, and it happens in the Manosphere. Some channels decide to do that. But for the most part, guys, we're not out here saying that these TikToks reflect all women. What we do is, first off, TikTok is a great way of content. It's just our style. I do this as well. It's just my style. Think Before You Sleep has his style, where he spends like 2 months researching a topic. I have a different style. My content is a show. I want to provide content each day, and TikTok is a great source of that. And when I talk about these women, guys, that I do, I'm not talking about the individual. I don't know the individual, I don't know their names, I don't know their backstories. I can only assume things about them based on a 1-minute TikTok I see. What I use them for is to make a general point and general observation about a significant proportion of women in the Western Hemisphere, all right? So when we see a gold digger, I'm not meaning to say that all women are gold diggers. I'm meaning to say, hey guys, take a look at this woman that you've probably seen multiple times in your life with different names and bodies, and let's talk about that kind of person. And you've seen, guys, these women we cover on the channel, you've maybe seen them in female colleagues, you've maybe seen them on the dating apps, you've maybe seen them on the streets, all right? The delusion, the high expectations that we cover and we talk about, you've seen them, right? You've seen them in the world. Also, why are they all bad, all right? Let me address this point as well. Most of my TikToks are about women that are bad dating options. Now, I'll admit, when I'm browsing through TikTok, from time to time, I find women that are good women and that are making good observations. And I sometimes include them, but rarely. So why do I do that? Well, because YouTube favors bad feelings. YouTube favors strong emotions. And making a mild video about, oh, look at this woman, she's so nice, wouldn't get the views, all right? And it's not only me, it's not only the Manosphere that does this. You can see this as well in film review channels, all right? Take a look at Nerdrotic, one of the most famous YouTube channels when it comes to movies. Take a look at the proportion between good and bad movies. So you have bottom right, Alien Romulus, a disappointing, repurposed, yada yada, bad review. The Acolyte is cancelled and that's a good thing, bad review. Rings of Power, a crime against Tolkien, bad review. Rings of Power season flops. Amazon's disaster, bad review. Rings of Power is abysmal, bad review. Am I Racist review? I've watched that review, that was a good review. Speaking good about the film. Agatha All Along is agony. Rings of Power Season 2 is a disaster. So out of the first 8 videos, these are the latest posted ones, I haven't cherry-picked them. Out of the last 8 videos that Nerdrotic has posted, 7 of them are talking bad about a movie. Welcome to YouTube. This is how it works. If you make content that is positive and good, there's not as many emotions to it, alright? Like, there's a reason why content, and this is not only on YouTube, you can see this in films as well. You can see this in these series that they do, you know, the Indian and Turk ones that are all about, you know, drama. You know, these very cheesy dramas that they make, and they are, on each episode, you have like 5 murders and 7 cheatings and a lot of shots of people being absolutely shocked. Yeah, welcome to human, how humans are. We just care more about the negative opinions. But this is not one channel. Take a look at The Critical Drinker, another movie review. The Crow, the worst movie of the year, bad review. Rings of Power, the ultimate insult to Tolkien, bad review. Trap, wasted potential, bad review. Rings of Power, bad review. Beetlejuice, a funny, cluttered, overstuffed mess. So this is so 50-50, you know, it's funny, but it's cluttered. So maybe a 50-50 review. Rings of Power at risk of cancellation, bad review. Agatha All Along, who was this even made for, bad review. And finally, The Penguin really surprised me. So this is a good review. So again, picking one of the most famous channels when it comes to movie reviews, out of 8 movies, 6 of them were bad, 1 of them was good, and 1 of them was 50-50. You see, it's not only us who show a specific type of content, alright? It's not being dishonest, it's not lying, it's just providing what people want to see. And there's nothing dishonest about that. You can see this in gaming channels as well, gentlemen. You can see this everywhere. Every channel uses content that is more more emotional, that brings spikes in the emotions, not some mild video with some mild commentary and some, middle of the pack opinion. So there's that.
This is what I mean with the whole red pill, manosphere, MGTOW, black pill stuff. It's all poorly researched, which is why they frequently come to bad or the wrong conclusions. Their analyses are also often based on a single variable or factor. It's usually things suck because women are bad, and they very seldom listen to the other side's reasoning for why they behave like they do. It's a major reason why I distance myself from those communities. In the Black Pill's case, this is particularly offensive because their entire moral argument is telling people to give up because they weren't born with the right genetics. They straight up tell people that nothing matters except for how you were born, and they have mantras like never get up, which tells people to not try to change what they can. Don't go to the gym, don't work on your appearance, don't try to get a good job, don't work on your social skills. I mean, you're taking a bunch of depressed people, telling them that everything is doomed, and following that with don't try to improve your life. This is legitimately suicide fuel, and it's why I decided to make this video. Because oftentimes I see guys like this 35-year-old virgin who's a little down on his luck, but I've seen enough of his content to know that he looks fine, and if he just lost weight, socialized more, and stopped being a pushover, he would have no problem getting a girlfriend.
So Think Before You Sleep then moves on to talk about the Black Pill. And again, guys, I will highly recommend you watch the whole video because he says a lot of things that are true. I think that me, for example, and Think Before You Sleep, the Red Pill in general and Think Before You Sleep, see the same coin just from two different sides. You know, so we're fighting both the same battle, which is against feminism, hedonism, the woke, but we have different approaches. And Think Before You Sleep has sadly turned against the Red Pill. If you know him, you know that in the past he used to be Red Pill, and if you ask me, he used to provide the best Red Pill content. He turned away from that, and I get it, because I also agree with him that, yes, a lot of Manosphere channels make some terrible arguments, really don't understand the studies they're looking at. They cherry pick the, not the content, but rather the message they want to forward. I agree with him on that, but that is not an issue with the Red Pill. That is an issue with the people who do that. You know, it's the same as saying that a certain religion is not true because one priest of one church doesn't abide by the things he preaches, or preaches things that are not true. They are not things that should be correlated. I also don't like Fresh and Fit, which Think Before You Sleep mentioned in one segment of the video. I also don't like them, yet I will never say that the Red Pill reflects some of their clownish arguments. So I get why he distanced himself from the Red Pill, but I see that as an error on his part, because the Red Pill philosophy, the Red Pill way of seeing things, should not be subject to each and every person and what they think about the Red Pill. When it comes to the Black Pill, which Think Before You Sleep goes on to talk about, I don't like the Black Pill. I think it's a defeatist mindset that tells you to give up and throw everything away and there's nothing you can do. I don't believe in that. In fact, I've never talked on this channel that you should give up on dating. No, in fact, I think the solution to all of this is to marry a good woman whom you're going to have a child that is growing to be a good individual, right? If we allow all the independent 40-year-old boss babes to marry some simp that is going to validate everything they stand for, they're going to raise children that are going to be absolutely terrible dating options, and we're just going to have this war won by the stupid people, while we, the ones that want to stick to the traditional way of living and that want to abide by good morals and good principles, if we decide to stay single, we're just going to get extinct. And we're going to leave the world and society to the idiots, to the OnlyFans army, and to the social justice warriors. So I don't stand for people just giving up, you know. What I'm here to talk about, though, is to not make the error of, because you feel lonely, going for a woman that is not going to be good, you know. So I don't need research. Again, I'm going to mention that. It's interesting to me how, you know, he spoke about gold diggers. He spoke about women having high expectations and all that. So he didn't really talk about the thing that men have the biggest issue with. Because, I mean, frankly, gentlemen, we mock some of the single mothers who have made terrible decisions. We mock divorced women who are on their fourth divorce. We laugh at gold diggers. Yet I don't think that none of us think that gold diggers are like 80% of the female population. No. In fact, probably most women, they don't want a guy who earns 6 digits or is 6'5" tall. Right? The reason why I mentioned that is as a meme. It has become a meme to talk about the 666, digits and six pack and all that. I don't think that every woman wants the six pack necessarily or 6 digits. No, a lot of them will be comfortable with less. But it's true that women have unreasonable expectations. Maybe not up to 6 digits, but they do have unreasonable expectations, you know? And I don't want to be working just to be eligible to be dating. I don't want to bust my behind working and going to the gym and doing all those things just so women who have never stepped on a gym, who have never put 5 minutes of effort into their personality, can say, all right, I'm gonna settle down with this guy who has been working for the past 10 years. I don't want that. But going back to the main point, Think Before You Sleep didn't address men's biggest issue with modern women. Which is that, gentlemen? Which is that? It's a high body count. I've done polls on the channel. I've seen this on other channels as well. The biggest issue that men have with modern women, the biggest red flag for us is a high body count. All right? The gold diggers, they are easy to dismiss, and honestly, they don't make up such a big proportion of society. I'll tell you what makes a big proportion of society: women who sleep around, mess around, sleep with chads, have their hot girl summers. Think Before You Sleep. Why didn't you mention that? That is the biggest issue that men have. And your channel, that is not red-pilled and is quote-unquote anti-woke, didn't even mention that. You didn't show any study of how women have increased their body count over the years. You didn't mention a study of what percentage of women in their 20s have already double digits, you know? So why didn't you mention that? You spoke about how, well, you see, guys, women are not so much gold diggers and you can focus on good women. Yes, you can do that. We're not saying that gold diggers are a problem. We're talking about a different thing. And if you want to fight the woke, that is the main ideology of the woke. Or maybe not the main ideology, but one of the core pillars, which is hedonism. And that is what having a high body count is. It's hedonism. It's being self-absorbed, and it's using other people for your own satisfaction. That is what a high body count is. The validation, the attention, the short-lived emotions, you know, the spike in emotions of feeling desired, which never result in a relationship or anything meaningful or anything that you have to pour some sort of effort into. It's just consuming. That is what dating apps are there for, and that is what this whole high body count is. It's consumerism and it's hedonism, right? And men have an issue with that because statistically speaking, you know, Think Before You Sleep very much likes his statistics. I'll give you a statistic. The more the body count, the more chances of divorce, all right? People with high body counts just don't make for good wives and for good dating options. So I think you should address that next time you make a video saying it's not that bad. No, it really is bad, in my opinion. And the reason why I started this channel, you may be shocked to learn, I didn't go through 76 studies before I started this channel. No, I just saw my surroundings. I used to live in Western Europe, and I saw that most women at my age, this was right from high school, were living this hedonistic life of only caring about chads, only caring about the attention and validation they get, only caring about stupid Instagram and do you follow me on Twitter, and the stupidest crap ever. Women nowadays are woke. There's another statistic for you. Do you know that women have never been so, have never voted for the woke agenda as much as they do now? Well, not never, I mean, at least not in the last decades. I don't know when was the last time women were this woke. but from the last decades, women are the wokest. They subscribe to all these woke narratives that make for terrible, terrible dating options. So there's another statistic for you. And you can see this all around, gentlemen. There's a reason why the red pill is famous. There's a reason why the red pill has become mainstream. Because people see this. They don't need studies. They see this in their friends. They see this in high school. They see this at work. They see this on dating apps. You can see this all around the world. And we are here to explain it. We're not here to prove it. I'm not here to prove with statistics that this is true because I don't need them. I can just show a TikTok of a dumb woman and tell you, have you ever seen this woman before? And you'll tell me, yes, Hiran, I've seen her like 300 times. I'm surrounded by her. You know, these women, guys, with the high body counts that are terrible dating options, they're like fucking Agent Smith. I'm seeing them all around. It's an epidemic of women that go for the same life choices and end up in the same way. Single and bitter and childless and resentful, right? They're like Agent Smith, guys. They are all around. I feel like I'm in the Matrix and I'm just surrounded by all these women that have the same philosophies, same mindset, vote for the same thing, think in the same way, go for the same type of men all over again. Like you're really meaning to tell me that, come on, guys, it's not that bad. And then you go to prove your point by talking about how the amount of gold diggers is not as big, or how we are quote unquote making a false argument by showing TikToks. If I were to show a TikTok of a type of woman that you don't see often, you wouldn't be watching this channel right now, right? If my TikToks didn't reflect reality, nobody will subscribe to that. Nobody will find these videos interesting. Nobody will be committed to them. This is the reason why most people that watch this channel, it's not only because I speak in English, it's most people who watch this channel are mainly from the USA and countries such as the UK, Germany, Western Europe, and all that. There's a reason for that. There's a reason why there are not many Africans or Asians that watch this channel, because in some of the countries over there, you don't have this problem. You may have similar ones, you may have different ones, maybe not the exact ones. So those people, they don't relate to what I speak, all right? Someone that lives in a traditional country with traditional values, he doesn't relate to what I'm speaking, so he doesn't watch me. He won't even find me. So there's that. And I'll say something good about Think Before You Sleep. Before I ranted for like 7 minutes, he said something that this is why I'm making these videos. Because I see men giving up on dating. I see men thinking that it's impossible. And it's a unaliving way of thinking, right? That everything is doomed, you can do nothing. I appreciate that. I love that about him. Because in the end, guys, like him or hate him, agree or disagree with him, you have to admit that the best thing out of Think Before You Sleep is that he's being honest and genuine. He's fighting the battle that he thinks is right, and he's trying with his best efforts to help men. And maybe he is helping men more than I do, right? We're fighting the same battle, just in different ways. So I will Think Before You Sleep, even though I don't agree with a lot of the things he said in this video. I would rather take him every day of the week rather than a Manosphere channel that subscribes to my narrative but is a grifter, not a grinder, right? There are a lot of guys, not only in the Manosphere, just in content creation in general, that only do it for money, or only do it to push their narrative because they are copying and they are dismissing all these valid points that will trash their narrative, you know? So I will Think Before You Sleep with his honesty, even though it may be wrong, rather than all these guys that are doing it for money or for other dishonest reasons. So I want you guys to appreciate that. He's trying to help men in the best way possible. But here's where I disagree. To say that dating is not that bad you title your video, "It isn't that bad." Really now? Really? Because if you ask me, we are at the worst point of dating that has ever been. And you can see this in statistics of people being single, both men and women. You can see this in the divorce rates. You can see this in a lot of different statistics that I'm just not bothered to take a look at, because again, I don't need statistics. I'm that clever, guys. I don't need statistics. You know? But you see this all around the culture. It has become mainstream for women to be hedonistic. And probably, guys, probably the biggest reason why is because women just have it easier. Going back to that question I asked you, gentlemen, is it easier for a man or for a woman to find a relationship, a hookup? It's easier for women, right? They just have more power. And with more power comes more responsibility, and they just don't have that responsibility. We've come to a point in society where women have to actively fight against these hedonistic philosophies in order to not get drawn by them, you know? While men, on the other hand, are kept honest by life itself, because men, traditionally and up until this date, they are the ones of whom it's required to chase women, to provide something, to do something, to win over women, to earn respect and fame and love from other people, right? So men are kept honest. Even if a man wanted to follow this hedonistic approach to life, where they provide no effort and only want to reap the benefits, most of them won't be able to, right? It's just the world that we live in. And probably, guys, if men had the same power that women have, probably men will be the ones that are hooking up and having hot boy summers and doing all this degenerate crap. And I will be making a channel talking against men. But the fact of the matter is, that's not the world we live in. So this is why I'm talking about women. They have the power and they use it for their own ass. They could be making the choice to be dating seriously with intent, to be going for a marriage, to, you know, keep their lives at check with some morals, you know, abiding by some principles. They don't do that. They only care about instant gratification and about reaping rewards without providing any effort. Which, if you think about it, hooking up is the most narcissistic thing and self-absorbed and hedonistic thing you can do, right? You can use objects to provide yourself with joy. You can buy an expensive car, you can buy substances, you can buy expensive clothes, you can spend money on a lot of things, but the biggest hedonistic thing is to use a person for your own gratification, right? I can't think of anything else. Hooking up and sleeping around is the most hedonistic thing you can do, because you're literally using other people. You're using people who are alive, other human beings, for your own selfish gratification without providing anything in return. Other than the fact that, yes, the other person is also using you. But when you think about it, guys, it's the worst, right? And how many women fall into this? Think before you sleep. Can you answer me that? How many women in society do you think, you can use a study, you can pull a study for this, how many of them do you think are focusing on instant gratification rather than the longer path which leads to wisdom and an actually good life, right? How many out of 10 women? Now, it's going to be different. It's going to be different in the USA, in the UK, in Western Europe, and in Eastern Europe. It's going to be different in each country, most probably. But it's going to be a very high number if you're living in the Western Hemisphere, right? Which is why I started this channel and I'm speaking all those things. Because again, I've seen this in high school, I've seen this at work, I've seen this in women in general. That's what they do. They have the power to do it, and so they do it. So, after all that's been said, gentlemen, is dating that bad? Yeah, I think it is. Now, not all women are gold diggers. In fact, I think the gold diggers are a small, rather small proportion of society. I don't think that all women are incredibly delusional like the ones we covered. No, these are extreme examples to showcase a main talking point that I want to discuss. But I think that especially for women and men, there's been a degradation in men as well. Don't get me wrong, men are way worse than they were like 50 years ago. Of course, you know, humanity as a whole has degraded, but especially women, because they have power. So you can see a higher effect on them, right? So I think that it has become mainstream for women to be hedonistic. And if they don't want to be hedonistic, they have to actively go against it and decide, I will go against this because I want this other thing. They have to use mental energy to go against the narratives that feminism, society, and culture are pushing.
The point is here that for every woman out there who's asking for a guy's bank statement on a first date, there are also the majority of women who are way more down to earth, who don't do things like that, and are fine with making things work without an endless supply of expensive material possessions. However, the problem is that there are many creators on the internet these days who show very unbalanced content where, without any nuance, women are always the villain.
So to summarize the video and everything said, if you take a look at the video, and I think you as well, will agree with most of the things the Think Before You Sleep said, mainly because he talks about the black pill for the biggest part of the video, which I agree with him on everything he said on like 40 minutes of this 1 hour long video. So maybe the video is titled It's Not That Bad as the Black Pill says, which I completely agree. You are not doomed. Going to the gym will increase your chances. Taking care of your looks will increase your chances, absolutely. So I agree with him on that. But since he mentioned the red pill and even showed Taylor, and he talked about the red pill and the Manosphere in general, no, I think that the red pill is absolutely correct about how bad dating is. It is bad. It's the worst it's ever been. Going back to the thing I mentioned that women who have higher earning jobs divorce more often, well, welcome to today's world. Women are financially better off than they have ever been. Women study and follow careers way more than they have ever been. And women are more independent from other people and men in their individual lives as they have ever been, which all those things could be better, it could be good in a void. But when it comes to dating, this is why the moment women became more independent and had more money, they immediately ditched men. Well, not ditch them because they are still sleeping around with them. It's not like they go on this wisdom journey of, oh, I don't need a man, I'm just gonna focus on myself, on my inner chakras. No, they still deal with men, but in a bad way. They dismiss the good men and deal with the bad boys. They sleep around, you know. And dating apps and the internet has also influenced women in the fact that time ago you had to compete against maybe 10 other guys for a specific woman because it's men who chase and do all that. Now you have to compete against 100, 1,000, 10,000. You cannot compete against the internet. All those things and many, many more are the reason why a lot of men are single nowadays, right? Say whatever you will about our TikToks. Oh, you are cherry picking them. It's not true that society is filled with gold diggers or so many divorcees or single mothers. It's not true, Hidan, that women are as delusional as you point them out to be. It's not true that women have unreal expectations, as you say. All right, you can believe that. The fact of the matter is, there are not enough good women for the amount of good traditional men that there are. All right, there's simply not enough. There are more good dating options in men than there are in women. This is why my channel is showing women and is aimed at men. And that is a fact. Go and you, I'll leave you homework. Go and find the study that says the fact that I just said, all right? If you care about studies so much, go do your research. I don't need a study to see that this is the case. All right? And that is the case, gentlemen. no matter how delusional women are or aren't, no matter if they're as bad or better than how I portray them on my channel, the fact of the matter is, a huge proportion of women in the Western world are undateable. They are undateable. They are red flags. They will ruin your life. And so here I am trying to fight for men so they cannot make these mistakes. And think before you sleep is leading the same battle, but I don't think that you are being honest with your viewers when you say that it's not that bad and that the red pill has it all wrong, because you see, there is this one OkCupid study from 10 years ago that shows that men actually are the ones who go for the top percentage of women. So gentlemen, that's all. You make your own decisions. You watch both videos. You're an intelligent person. I think you don't need a study. I think you don't need my commentary. I think my commentary only reflects what you already believe in. Mine, or Think Before You Sleeps, or anyone's. The content you watch, you don't watch it because you are stupid and naive and you don't understand what world you're living in and you want somebody to tell you. No. You're watching this content because you already have your thoughts on the topic, and mine happen to be yours, as well as many other men's, you know? So gentlemen, what do you think?